I'm visiting with Faith Hill. Who is Faith Hill? Let's pretend you're filling out a piece of paper to get employment, and you've got to tell us something about yourself.
If I was filling out an application right now, this very moment, I'm very, very, very excited. Excited person. I mean, I'm just bouncing off the walls excited. Not only did I get to sit here with you, Ralph, and talk to you and visit with you again, which is always a pleasure, I mean, I'm living out a dream of mine come true. I'm a very normal, real person.
You're normal?
Yeah, I'm normal.
I'm not sure in show business what normal is. How old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
You single?
I am single. I'm divorce single.
Okay.
So I'm single. Yeah.
You got a boyfriend?
I have a lot of friends. All
right. Are you romantically engaged in a relationship?
No, I have a lot of close friends.
Okay, you're not serious.
Yeah, I'm so busy right now.
Okay.
I mean, it's a hard time to.
Well, it would really disappoint all the guys in our audience if you were tied down.
Well, it's just a real hard time. You know, I'm gone always, just really trying to focus on my career. Waited for this for a long time.
Got a band yet?
I'm putting the band together as we speak today.
Do you play?
I play the piano and the guitar to write on. I don't play while I'm performing, only because I'm just not very good. Just plain and simple, honest. I mean, you know, I get real flustered, but no, I write on the instrument. I may play a little bit in the show, the guitar, because it is fun, but that's something I'm going to work on when I'm on the road.
Have you developed an act?
Right now, I mean, we're just putting the band together. Next year is when we're going to start really touring heavy, and we'll definitely go in and have several months of rehearsals. The thing that I say and that I always will do is just I'll have fun. Have the best time I can possibly have.
Well, now, you've worked before in front of audiences.
Oh, yeah.
You've had bands before,
Oh, yeah.
you?
Oh, I've had bands before. Most of the time, I just wing it. I mean, that's the honest-to-God truth. I'll get up there and I'll have a rehearsal with the band and make sure everybody knows what's going on as far as the songs and when they're supposed to come in. Sometimes it's been where I've had a set list, and I usually have a set list, definitely. I never have said, okay, at this point in between this particular song and this song, I'm going to do this. I've never done that because I've always just like spontaneity. I don't know. There's something about that. Under pressure, it puts me under a certain amount of pressure that makes me work harder.
Excuse me. A set list is a list of songs that you have planned to sing on the show.
Right.
You will depart from that if the mood strikes you, right?
That's right.
Faith, you used to be a secretary on Nashville's Music Row, didn't you?
I sure did. The very first job I had when I moved to Nashville, I sold T-shirts at Fanfare.
Did you really?
I sure did, and
How did you get that job?
Well, I had been here for 4 months, and I had not found a job, and I was getting very scared that I was going to have to move back home. So I was looking at the Sunday paper one day, and I saw this ad, sell T-shirts for a week during Fanfare. And I thought, great, you know, a week's worth of work. I definitely need that. So I went and applied for the job, and I sold T-shirts for a vendor it was just a Nashville vendor, Music City USA, T-shirts like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first taste of Fanfare, and I really didn't know what it was before I started working there. But when I left that week, I was very much aware of what Fanfare was and how important it is. I guess after a few weeks after I worked at Fanfare, I landed a job as a receptionist for Gary Morse. That was really exciting. I was there for about 3.5 years.
Now, there was something you were trying to avoid.
In Nashville, what happens is, for me anyway, when I went around applying for jobs, the very first question would be, what are your real intentions here? What did you come here to do? You know, are you here to be a musician or singer or in the entertainment business? And I'd say, yes, I am. You got a band I can be in, or do you know somebody you can introduce me to? And that was not the right thing to say. As you know, Ralph, people are very supportive in this town, but there are some, too, that run a business, and they want to hire people for that purpose only. So when I went to Gary's office, I was getting pretty scared that I wasn't finding any work.
Well, they would turn you, after you told them you wanted to be a singer, they would turn you down, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. They had turned me down and thought, well, I'm not saying something right. You know, I thought I was dressing up all right and being friendly and everything, but something is not right. So when I went to Gary's office, I don't know where this came from. I think God was really watching over me. I sat there and I said, no, I'm not here to be a singer. You know, I need a job. And so they hired me. I thought, what have I done? Yes, I'm here to break into the business, and I have just blown that chance. What happened was I guess you could say, a closet singer for about a year and a half. During that time, I was sneaking around trying to get into the whole Nashville scene, trying to figure out the right places to be, meeting songwriters and going to the Bluebird in Douglas Corner and all those places. I was just really scared that if I let them know what my real intentions were, that I was going to lose my job. But it didn't turn out that way. I was being way too hard on myself. Gary heard me do a demo and came upstairs one day, and I was sitting upstairs at my desk. He said, young lady, he said, you need to get out from behind this desk and get busy on this career. You definitely do not need to be sitting behind this desk. And that was the kick in the butt that I needed. Then I was out of the closet and I wasn't scared anymore. And I didn't lose my job. He was very supportive.
Faith, you mentioned to me earlier that you worked for Reba McEntire's company, Starstruck. Did Reba McEntire have anything to do with your career?
Well, Reba McEntire, I guess you could say she had something to do with my career because she was one of my biggest influences growing up. As far as that way is concerned, she was, I wanted to be Reba McEntire. There was a point in my life that I wanted to be Reba McEntire. And when I started working for her, the thing that she helped me with the most was the fact that I was there and getting to see what it was really like. She is a professional, no doubt, and the way she handles her fans, the way she handles her whole career, and the choices that she makes, it was something to see. That in that way, yes, she definitely helped me out a lot, and she supported the fact that I wanted to do the same thing she was doing. The advice that she gave me is just to have fun with it, girl, and just right here, to keep it from your heart. It comes from your heart. That's where it all starts from, and just to be thankful.
What did you do for Reba McEntire?
I worked in the fan club. There's a section of the fan club. To go back a little bit, Starstruck is her entire organization. She has everything out of that one roof, Starstruck Entertainment. And I worked in merchandising, which is a segment of the fan club that she has called Shop by Mail. And you can send in to order any type of merchandise. She has everything. And that's what I did. And so I got to get to know the fans a lot and knew how important they were.
Did you handle her fan mail?
Not a lot of fan mail. There was someone hired specifically to help out. Reba sees everything that comes through there. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that comes through her fan club. It's huge. No, mostly I just did the merchandise because it's very, very large.
Doesn't she have a talent agency?
It's within Starstruck. She's booked the wrong company.
But doesn't she manage other artists?
Right. Starstruck, under Starstruck management, Aaron Tippin, who's managed by Trey Bruce in Narville, and then Matthews Wright and King, Linda Davis, who's on Reba's single with her right now, very talented young lady. Lord, I'm probably forgetting somebody because they've added a lot of people since I left.
How long ago did you leave the employment of Reba McEntire?
Last September, September of '92 is when I left.
Okay. When were you discovered by your label, Warner Brothers?
Well, I was discovered, the exact date, Lord, I don't even remember that because a lot of it, there was a long time span in between the time that I was discovered and the time that I was signed. I was discovered singing harmonies for Gary Burr at the Bluebird Cafe about 2.5 years ago. I was discovered by Martha Sharp. She just happened to be in the audience, and she heard me singing, and I saw her a few months later at a Music Row function, and that's how we hooked up. Got her a tape, and here I am now.
Okay. I want to zero in on a point we only touched on in a previous interview.
Okay.
You said that Martha Sharp of Warner Brothers Records discovered you at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been about 2.5 years.
Okay. It took you almost 2.5 years then to get a record out after you were discovered.
That's right.
What happened in all that time?
A lot happened. The preparation for a first album coming out is enormous, as you probably know. There's just a lot of things, and I think the most important thing is timing of everything and getting the right team together. I changed producers during that time. It takes a lot of time, finding the right songs. At first I was signed to Warner Brothers as a development artist, which means I did a few demos for them. They're trying to get the right producer with me. and trying to get the whole thing set up just right. And that took time. I mean, I got with a really good manager, Gary Borman, who manages Dwight Yoakam, got hooked up with him, and then Scott Hendricks, who produces Brooks and Dunn and produced the first few Alan Jackson records, and he produces Larry and Aaron Tippin's latest, Leroy Parnell, Steve Warner, all those good-looking men he produces, and he needed a female.
Mm-hmm. And
Don't you think, Ralph?
And you knew one, didn't you?
And I knew one. I said, have I got the female for you, Scott? No, but I'm his first female artist. It was just waiting to get that right team set up, and boy, I'm glad we did, because I'm really happy with everything we have.
Well, the point I'm making here is that when you're discovered, you don't immediately get records out and hit the road and become a star overnight.
No, you don't, but that's exactly what I thought. That's the way I thought it worked. You know, sitting back home in Star, Mississippi, I thought, well, I'm going to walk myself right up to Nashville, and I'm going to take that town by storm, and in a month, I'm going to have a record out and be on TV. And let me tell you something, folks, it don't work that way. There's a lot to do, and I'm glad, though. I mean, during that time, patience was never one of my strongest traits. God knew that, and now my life has changed. I'm a very patient person because it takes a lot of time to get it out. And there are no overnight successes. I really don't believe that at all. I mean, it's tough, and people, everybody that you see and that you hear on the radio right now, every one of them has worked just a bit as hard as someone else. I mean, I really believe that. It's tough. You spend your whole life getting to this point to make a record. Even since I've been in town for almost 7 years now, and I mean, during that 7-year period, definitely I have been working very hard, but to get to that point, you know, back home in Mississippi, I was working just as hard, developing myself as an artist. And a lot of people think, well, after I get my record contract and after I get my record out, well, I've got it made. I don't have to do anything. Now the hardest part's over with. Well, that's another bunch of bull. Because you work even harder.
You have to promote.
You got to promote it, which is good. You know, shoot, yeah, I want to get out and promote this record because I'm proud of it. And you got to promote it, and there's a lot of things that you need to do.
Faith. That's your real name?
That's my real name. I was an adopted child.
Really?
I sure was. And my mom and dad, they had 2 boys already, Wesley and Steve, which are my brothers. And they were natural children of my mom and dad. And they wanted a little girl. So my mom called the doctor and said, we want a baby girl. Can you help us out? He said, well, Miss Perry, I can put you on a list. You know, a waiting list is really long. And this was in Jackson, Mississippi. The waiting list is really long, but I can put you on a list. She said, okay, well, that's fine. Well, a few days later, they got a call from a doctor, and the doctor said, we got your little girl for you. And it was me, and they named me Faith because they had faith that they were going to get a girl sooner than what the doctor was telling them. So that's where my name comes from.
What's your middle name?
Audrey.
Faith Audrey?
Audrey Faith. Actually, Faith is my middle name.
Okay.
And Audrey. My brothers named me Audrey because they were in love with Linda Evans. On, what was it, Big Valley? Or what? I think it was Big Valley or something.
I don't remember.
I think it was,
Okay.
but they were absolutely in love with her. So they said, we have to name her Audrey.
Did they try to keep the fact that you were adopted from you for a long time?
No.
Or were they very open about it?
Very open about it. I mean, I never even think that I'm adopted. I mean, I just, my name is real, and I just think it's a very special story. You know, my mom and dad, that's how they got to that name. They didn't hide it from me. I mean, I have a great family. They're a wonderful family, and I'm very blessed.
I was reading in part of your bio about your father bringing you to Nashville and turning you loose, and then he went back with a tear in his eye.
Oh, yeah, and left many tears in my eye.
Well, that must have been, how old were you when they brought you to Nashville?
19.
That must have been very hard for them
Yeah.
to turn you loose.
I mean, you have children, you know
Yes.
how hard it is, and especially your baby and it being a girl makes it a little more difficult. But my mom, she didn't come up here with us. She stayed home. She said her goodbyes back there. But she knew how she raised me, and she just got on her knees and said, there's nothing, I can't hold her back. When I say that, it almost sounds that it was a bad departure, but it wasn't at all. I mean, my mother's very strong, and she knew how she raised me, and she just had to let me go. And my dad came up here with me with a couple of friends, and as he was leaving Nashville, he had packed up all my stuff. I had my car, which was passed down in the family, and then And then my friends had a little truck, and it was one of those little bitty trucks where barely 2 people can fit in the cab. And so on the way back, he had all the boxes that were empty. And he made him he opened up one of the boxes to where it had just 3 sides to it. And he just made him a little pallet back there in the back of this truck and was setting in between this box so he had protection from the wind. Well, it was the end of March, so it was still a little cool outside.
Yeah, it's cold in Nashville at the end of March.
Yeah, it sure is. So when he was leaving, I mean, I'll never forget it to this day, just the look on his face sitting in that box. And he wasn't going to sit there the whole way because it's about a 7.5-hour drive. And he said, we love you, and, we wish you the best of luck, and if you want to come home, I'll come right back up here and get you.
You bet he would. That's a great story. Faith Hill, thank you very much.